Okay, so in this lecture we're going to discuss determinants and some of their properties, right? So I'm going to assume that all of us have seen determinants at some level, and we have also played with them and used their properties and so on. But so in that sense, it's going to be kind of recall of what we have already seen. But so the idea here is, to collect together a bunch of results which are all related and which can be written down very neatly if we use determinants, right? So that's why I'm going to bring in determinants here. So let's just start with 2 by 2 matrices, and so first describe how to compute a determinant in a very standard algorithmic way, right? So there are different ways in which one can introduce determinants and come up with the definition of determinant and so on. But so we will not take a formal approach here. So let's show how to do it for a 2 by 2 matrix and a 3 by 3 matrix and so on, right? So 2 by 2 matrix is A, B, C, D. So we know that the determinant of such a matrix is simply given by A times D minus B times C, right? So if you look at a 3 by 3 matrix, the determinant is can be computed in terms of determinants of other 2 by 2 matrices, right? So let me also point out that determinant is defined only for a square matrix, right? So a matrix in general need not be square, as we have seen examples of non-square matrices, but the notion of a determinant is available only if the a matrix is square. So if you have a 3 by 3 matrix, so one should start with finding out what is called the cofactor matrix, right? So every element of this matrix is, if it is replaced by its cofactor, then you get the cofactor matrix, right? So how do you compute the cofactor of an element? So let's look at the first element here. So the first row, first column, so that's 1. So the way to find its cofactor is to ignore the row and the column that this particular element represents. So you forget about this row, and you also have to forget about this column. So you imagine that this doesn't exist. So then you are left with just this 2 by 2 matrix, right? You have to find its determinant, right? So what is the determinant of this? It's 9 into 5 minus 4 into 6. That's just 21, right? So the cofactor of 1 is 21, right? So you have to be a bit more careful, right? There is also this sign involved when you are computing the cofactor, right? So what I just told you is what is called a minor, and then you have to associate, you have to tag along a factor of minus 1 to the row plus column, right? So let's look at the second entry here, 2, right? What is its minor? So you have to forget about this row and this column, and so then you are left with 8 times by 40 minus 28. 40 minus 28 is 12, right? So but I have written minus 12 here. The reason it's a minus 12 here is because this is the first row and second column. So 1 plus 2 is 3. So you have to do minus 1 to the power 3, right? So the first element that we considered belongs to the first row and first column. So 1 plus 1 is 2. So minus 1 squared gives you a positive sign, right? So you get a minus 12 and minus 15 and so on. So I will allow you to verify that I have done it correctly. So you can find the cofactor matrix of any square matrix, right, by replacing every element by its cofactor, right? It becomes tedious if you have very large matrices, but this is a prescription which will generalize even to higher dimensions, right? Once you have this cofactor matrix, what you can observe is if you multiply any row of this original matrix, let's look at the first row of this original matrix and the first row of this cofactor matrix. So if you take 1 times 21 plus 2 times minus 12 plus 3 times minus 15, you're going to get minus 48 in this case. And likewise you can check if you do 8 times 8 plus 9 times minus 16 plus 4 times 8, that also is going to give you minus 48. And so in fact any row with any row corresponding row of the cofactor matrix if you in some sense you're taking like a dot product of this, right? So although you shouldn't be calling it, it's just you have to multiply the corresponding elements and add them up. You can do it with rows or you can do with columns. You will get the same number, minus 48. So what is this magical number? Well, this turns out to be the determinant, right? So there are other ways of thinking about a determinant, but let's not go into this. So this is one way to compute a determinant, and usually it's not so one doesn't usually compute determinants of large n by n matrices by hand unless there are some special properties involved, which special symmetries involved in some matrices. Then you can also write down the answer for an n by n matrix, and then typically you don't use this kind of a brute force technique involving cofactor matrix and so on, right? But the point is that it's useful to know that there is this brute force approach. So once you have a definition for the determinant of a 2 by 2 matrix, you can define the determinant of a 3 by 3 matrix, from which in turn you can define the determinant of a 4 by 4 matrix and so on, right? Okay, so this is the determinant. So I am formally defining it here. So in general, for an n by n square matrix, the determinant is given by the sum of the product of each element of a row or column. It doesn't matter which row you choose, it doesn't matter which column you choose, as long as you take the same column and same row, for the matrix and its cofactor matrix, right? So you have determinant of A is a summation over j minus I to the I plus j. So this is where this, minor becomes a cofactor when you tag this factor along with it. So Mij is the minor, Aij times Mij, and then so which is written in terms of this cofactor of Aij, right? So this is exactly what we have demonstrated earlier already. So let's work out, the determinant of this matrix. Okay, so let's work out, the determinant of this matrix. So let me copy this down. I have 0 A minus B minus A 0 C minus A 0 C, then I have B minus C 0. And we can do it the brute force way. So whenever you have zeros like this, it makes life even easier, right? So if let me go along this first row. So I have this is equal to 0 minus A times A into 0 will give me just 0 minus BC. Then I have minus B times AC minus 0. So what do I have? So this is equal to ABC minus ABC equal to 0, right? So I have worked this out just using brute force method, but there may be other ways of doing this using some properties of determinants, right? So let's look at some properties of determinants, and maybe later on you can try to find if there is a quick and direct way to get to this answer. That could be homework. But let's look at some properties of determinants. So this too is in the nature of recall. So if we multiply every element of any row or any column by factor, right? So the determinant of the matrix is also multiplied by that factor, right? So this is something that you must be familiar with, right? It doesn't matter whether you do it for a row or for a column, and it doesn't matter for which row or which column you do. The same factor, can be pulled out or brought in, right, from the determinant. So the determinant of a matrix is 0 if every element of some row or column is 0. So in fact, this is actually a consequence of the first rule, right? So if every element of some row or column is 0, then you can pull out 0, right? And therefore determinant of this matrix is equal to 0 times the determinant of this matrix, so which is just 0, right? So two rows or columns are proportional to each other. So if two rows or two columns are proportional to each other, then this includes the case of two rows being identical to each other. Whether if they're identical or proportional, it's really each of them will go to 0 is kind of obvious, because you can pull out that factor, and then there are two columns which are identical, so you can, and that gives you a 0 for the determinant, right? This also follows from the fact that you can add a multiple of some row to another column, and the determinant remains unchanged, which is a property which is coming up later on. So if you exchange two rows, it changes the sign of the determinant. If you exchange two rows, or if you exchange two columns, then the determinant of your resulting matrix is going to acquire a minus sign, right? If you do it multiple times, then it's going to give you, minus 1 to the power of so many times if you have done this exchange operation. So determinant of A is the same as determinant of A transpose, right? If we add a multiple of some row or some column to another row or column respectively, the determinant remains unchanged, right? So we saw when we were doing these row operations, right? So you could take a row and add it to the multiple of another row, and so basically the information content in the original set of equations and the later set of equations were unchanged. Right now we have specialized to the case where you have an n by n matrix, right? And then so the value of the determinant of this n by n matrix is unchanged if you do these kinds of operations. So let's look at some examples of how these properties play out. So I will allow you to see if you can find this determinant using some of these properties. But let's look at the so-called Vandermonde determinant. So you have determinant of this matrix 1A is 1, let me write it down, 1 1 1, A B C, A squared B squared C squared, right? So we can go ahead and subtract the first row from the second row. So this is equal to determinant of, if I subtract the second row from the first, so I get 0, then I get A minus B, then I get A squared minus B squared. And likewise I can subtract the third row from the second row. So then again I get 0, then B minus C, then I have B squared minus C squared. So let me leave this row as it is, 1C C squared. So then I have, so this is equal to, so then I see that in the first row there is this common factor A minus B that I can pull out, and in the second row I have this common factor B minus C which I can pull out. So I have A minus B times B minus C times determinant of 0 1 A plus B, and then I have 0 1 B plus C, and then I have 1 C and C squared. So now of course I can just evaluate this determinant going along this the first column. So then I just have 1 times this determinant that I have to evaluate. So I get A minus B times B minus C times 1 into B plus C minus A plus B, which is the same as C minus A, right? So I have A minus B into B minus C. It's a cyclic product into C minus A. So this is called a Vandermonde determinant, right? So I have used some properties of determinants and I have evaluated it. You might be able to get to the same result using some other property, some other technique, which I will encourage you to try and find. So let's look at one more example, which is a clever use of the properties of determinants, and then there is one more example which I will just allow it to be homework, right? So there is a clever way to find the equation of a plane that passes through 3 given points. So you are given some 3 points, x1, I could just have written it as x1, y1, z1, x2, y2, z2, and x3, y3, z3. For for concreteness, I have put values here 0, 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? So now the point is that a plane is completely, the plane passing through these 2 points is completely defined because you have given 3 points. Now we know from coordinate geometry that the equation of a plane will be of the form some constant times x plus some other constant times y plus some other constant times z plus some other constant equal to 0, right? So if I write down, I'm claiming that this object, determinant of this determinant is equal to 0 is the equation of the plane, right? How do we see this? Right, so let's look at expanding this along the first row. So I have x times determinant of this 3 by 3 matrix plus y times the determinant of another 3 by 3 matrix, which is some constant, plus z times the determinant of some other matrix, which is a constant, plus another determinant which is a constant, is equal to 0, which is exactly in the form of the equation of a plane, right? So first of all, it's clear that this is the equation of some plane. Now, how do I show that this is the equation of the plane that we are interested in? So I just have to show that if I plug in place of x, y, z, if I put in 0, 0, 0, then indeed this equation must hold. That becomes evident because I have 0, 0, 0, 1. If I put it here, then I see that the first row and the second row are identical. If they match, then we have this property of a determinant that whenever any two rows or any two columns are the same, then it's the determinant of such a matrix is 0. Likewise, I see that if I plug in 1, 2, 3 here, the values corresponding to the second point, then once again I see that the first row and the third row are identical, so this determinant is going to be 0. And if I plug in the third point 4, 5, 6, once again I find that the first row and the fourth row are identical, therefore the determinant is 0, right? So in all three points definitely pass through this the plane that we have found, and it is the equation of a plane which passes through these 3 points, so it must be the equation of the plane that we are interested in. So that's the argument. It's a clever use of the properties of determinants. So finally, I have one more example which I will allow you to work out on your own as homework. So here the idea is, whenever you have these zeros, it's a 4 by 4 matrix, you might think that it's a difficult job to evaluate such a determinant. So but you just go along this first column. Since there are all these zeros, you will have to evaluate the 3 by 3 matrix, which is which gives you the cofactor corresponding to 1, and then you have to evaluate the other 3 by 3 matrix, the determinant of this 3 by 3 matrix, and you'll be done. You have to take care of the signs properly, and then you'll find that in fact these 3 by 3 matrices themselves have zeros in one, so it becomes quite straightforward to do. You can also try to do it with using some of the properties of these determinants, but for this particular problem it's straightforward enough to just directly use the brute force definition, right? So this was a short lecture recalling some of the properties of determinants and building the scene for our connection to linear algebra and systems of linear equations, which we will describe in the next lecture. Thank you.